Welcome to Heroes of the Philippines.
In this episode, we're diving deep into the history of Filipino women, exploring not just their challenges and victories, but also the heroic, even the untold stories.
So ano pang hinihintay natin? Let's explore now how Pinays were portrayed, fought back, and made their mark.
Alam nyo dati, when I hear women history, limited lang yung alam ko. Mostly, sila Gabriel Silang, Tandang Sora, at si Maria Clara lang yung pumapasok sa utak ko. But as I've gotten older and have access to different resources, my knowledge on this topic has really expanded. Given those key figures, ano nga ba talaga ang mga kababaihan noon?
That's a great question, Leonard. Parang when we think of women noon, dalawa lang ang extremes. Either you're the revolutionary hero like Gabriela Silang or the submissive idealized Maria Clara. But this is where the critical analysis comes in. We have to remember that Maria Clara is more of an ideal, a symbol of a sheltered dalagang Filipina during the Spanish era. In reality, ang daming kababaihan noon na hindi lang ganon.
Tama ka dyan. Maraming kababaihan noon na were actually very active and weren't just sheltered in the home. They were market vendors, nurses, and key players in their communities. So, while Maria Clara is symbolic, she gives us a very limited view of what Filipino women were truly like. It was more complex than the history books or movies usually show.
Right. During pre-colonial times, nung nabubuhay pa ang mga ating ancestors, it was very different. There is a Visayan folktale entitled Sikalak and Sikabay, or First Man and Woman, who came out from bamboo. Captain, a god, created them para may mag-alaga sa earth. So basically, the bamboo split into and from it tumitaw ang kauna-unang lalaki at babae. Si Sikalak, meaning the sturdy one, at si Sikabay, meaning partner of the sturdy one. So from this event, the Tagalog words for man, lalaki, and woman, babae, originated.
Just to continue the tale, niyaya ni Sikalak na maging asawa si Sikabay, pero she keeps on rejecting him because they are siblings. After much argument, here's the funny part. They sought the advice of the tuna fish of the sea, the doves of the air, and consulted the earthquake kasi naglakbay si Kaptan at silang dalawa lang naman ang nabubuhay na tao sa panahong yon. In the end, the tuna fish, doves, and earthquake approved of their marriage kasi gusto nila dumami ang tagapangalaga ng earth.
Wow! Grabe! Hearing si Kalak ask si Kabay to marry him and was refused many times is a very powerful moment. It shows that from the very beginning, the first woman had the power to choose. Is a relationship based on mutual respect, ibang-iba noong kasagsagan ng kolonyalismo.
Exactly. Kahit yung mga babaylan, the community healers and spiritual leaders have the same status as datus, the head of the community. When the babaylan speaks, she's with the authority of the divine, and the bayan or the community will listen to her. Kaya Filipino women during the pre-colonial period were considered partners and at par with men.
Kung pre-colonial pa lang may equality na, bakit parang nawala?
Dahil yan sa paglusob ng iba't ibang bansa sa Pilipinas. Those periods may be the worst time to be a woman. Kasi hindi lang sila lumalaban para sa kalayaan ng bansa, kundi pati na rin sa kalayaan nila bilang isang babae.
Buti na sabi mo yan, kasi dyan ko na mapapasok sila Gabriela Silang at Melchora Aquino. Unahin ko muna si Gabriela Silang. Alam naman natin na she's the first female leader of the Philippine Revolution. When her husband, Diego Silang, died, she took the rebellion into her hands at nakipaglaban sa mga Espanyol. Ganon din kay Melchora Aquino o mas kilalang Tandang Sora. Akalain mo, at the age of 84, she joined the Katipunan.
No one can ever be too old to stand against injustice and oppression.
True, hindi man siya lumaban physically gaya ni Gabriela Silang, binuksan naman niya ang bahay niya para pakainin at gamutin yung mga sugatang sundalo at nagsilbi ring parang hideout ang tahanan niya.
Oh, that is why she's known as the mother of the Philippine Revolution. Alam niya rin bang meron ding babae na nakipaglaban sa gera habang naka-formal attire and bold red lipstick?
That's interesting. Legit ba yan?
Oo, no. She is Remedios Ginto Gomez Paraiso, o mas kilala bilang si Commander Luwayway. According to the sources, teenager pa lang mahilig na sa fashion si Commander Luwayway. Gumagawa siya ng mga dress at pabango, pati pagsali sa beauty pageants ginawa niya. Pero her life took a turn during World War II, when Japan invaded the Philippines. She became part of the Hukbalahap or Hukbo ng Bayan laban sa Hapon or People's Anti-Japanese Army at naging commander ng squad niya. Pinangalanan siya ng mga kasama niyang guerrilla fighter ng Liwayway, signifying the dawn of a new era. She challenged stereotypes and notions of what guerrilla fighters should look like, proving that bravery knows no gender.
Angas! Lumaban siya not only for her cause but also for the right to express her true self, ibang klase.
Napaisip tuloy ako na history books don't share stories like that. Kaya it's our job talaga to find those hidden gems.
Given what we have just discussed, we know na may powerful women na handang lumaban para sa bansa at sa sarili nila. But they are also women who were abused and violated. Isa si Maria Rosa Henson sa nakaranas ng pang-ubuso ng mga Hapon.
Ayan ba yung tinatawag na comfort woman?
Yeah, she herself was a child of rape when her mother was taken by her tenant family's hacienda owner. Tapos nung 14 siya, pinagkaisahan siya ng 3 sundalong Hapon. At 15 siya nung dalhin siya sa Angeles City para maging sex slave. At natapos din naman ang paghihirap ni Maria Rosa nang maligtas sila ng Hukbalahap. Then, decades later, after the war, naging matapang na si Lola Rosa ihayag ang mga napagdaanan niyang trauma sa publiko.
The time was come. This is the happiest moment of my life because since 50 years ago that I undergone the sacrifices and painful from the hands of the Japanese Imperial Army. Now, my dream, my impossible dream became into a reality.
Nakakainis na tinatawag silang comfort women when in fact, the ladies were not even comfortable. Kaya pro talaga ako sa parusang death penalty para sa mga rapists. Kasi walang marirape kung walang rapist.
That's the darker side of women's history. Many Filipino women were victims at hanggang ngayon, meron pa rin. Sa kabila ng mga nabuong batas at nagtatanggol sa rights nyo.
Speaking of rights, may malayong kamag-anak si Rizal na katulad din niyang nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral. She's Dr. Encarnacion Alzon. Siya lang naman ang kauna-unahang babae na nakakuha ng PhD degree at nagsulat ng iba't ibang libro about equality for Filipino women. Kahit may pinag-aralan siya, she didn't choose the easy life. Instead, she chose the danger and become part of the guerrilla movement against the Japanese. Dakilang promoter at translate niya rin yung mga gawa ni Jose Rizal noon. At pagkatapos ng World War II, doon pa siya mas lalo nakilala at nakareceive ng maraming awards.
Basically, Alzona serves as the first president of the Kababaihang Rizal.
Yes.
Kahit lalaki ako, na-inspire ako sa mga kwento nila. And now that we've looked at the past, paano naman nag-evolve ang laban ng mga kababaihan sa modernong panahon?
Napansin ko guys, kung noon the women were helping to fight against the people from different countries na lumusob sa bansa natin. Ngayon ay parang sa sistema o sa mga officials na ng sariling bansa natin sila taliwas.
I agree. Sa dami ng issue na kinakaharap ng Pilipinas, kapwa Pilipino na lang din ang magkakalaban.
Sabi nga ni Spanish philosopher George Santayana, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Kaya noong kasagsagan ng martial law, There were Pinays who truly asserted their empowerment and challenged patriarchy, not only in the struggle for national liberation, but also within the anti-dictatorship movement.
Tama. And when we say within the anti-dictatorship movement, it means the women weren't just fighting the dictatorship. They were also fighting sexism inside their own organization. Parang they had to prove na women's issues are not secondary. They had to demand to be leaders, not just the secretaries or the ones cooking.
Exactly. Kasi doon natin makikita na ang laban nila hindi lang para sa kalayaan ng Pilipinas, kundi pati na rin sa kalayaan nila bilang babae. Kaya nga, it's so powerful na in the post-Marcos era, they continued the fight by founding major feminist organizations like Gabriela at Likhaan.
And that legacy continues today. If you look at the movements for gender equality, for rights against violence, for sexual and reproductive rights, Filipino women are still at the forefront, challenging the system and ensuring that their voices are heard and counted.
Kaya lodi ko si Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago. She's one of the most intellectual, brilliant leaders that our country has ever seen. Kasi pag siya na yung nagsalita, parang matatameme ka na lang talaga.
True!
I believe that there are three requirements for a good President of the Philippines. Number one, academic excellence. Number two, professional excellence. And number three, moral excellence. Can you give me at least 3 examples of each kind of excellence that you possess?
What if she's still alive this 2025? Baka napuksa na niya lahat ng mga corrupts sa Senado. Hindi siya binangsagan as the Iron Lady of Philippines politics for nothing.
Kaya nga, bata pa lang ako pag napapanood ko siya sa TV, iba talaga yung pananalita niya because of her legal brilliance. At forte niya talaga yung pagpuksa sa corruption.
Kung lahat pala tayo honest, o marami pala tayo sa atin ay honest, why is the Philippines often, or if not all the time, why is the Philippines always ranked as one of the most corrupt countries in the whole world? Yan, sagutin niyo ako niyan. Nagpapakalinis kayo? Aba kung malinis pala ang mga opisyalis natin at malinis pala sa buong bansa, bakit palagi tayong nililista ng Transparency International as one of the most corrupt countries in the world? Magtitinginan tayo? Sino kaya dito?
In a nation where many public officials are charged with or suspected of plunder, her honesty shines like a light in the darkness. Akalain mo, she is also the first Filipino and the first Asian from a developing country to be elected to the United Nations as judge of the International Criminal Court.
She really brought honor to the Philippines in several ways, no? Masasara rin kaya niya itong kaso sa Senado at gobyerno like what she did years ago? Ayan ang tanong ko at alam ko ng marami sa atin kung nabubuhay pa rin siya ngayon.
Now, to wrap up this eye-opening discussion, it's clear that the history of Filipino women is far more complex and compelling than the easy narratives we often see.
Totoo. As a man, the biggest lesson here is that we shouldn't limit ourselves to those two portrayals. Yung super brave heroine or the submissive type of girl. Ang daming kababaihan na may sariling agency, meaning they had the power and freedom to make their own choices. Silang lahat kaya makipagsabayan sa ating mga kalalakihan at lumaban for their own peace and respect.
And that complexity includes the darkness too. We have to honor the fighters like Commander Liwayway and Dr. Encarnacion Alzona. But we also have to bravely speak the names of those who suffered, like Lola Rosa Henson. Their abuse and violation are just as much a part of women's history as the victories.
It makes me realize that history isn't just about documenting the war or the revolution. It's about documenting the human experience in those moments. And for Filipinas, that experience was about fighting on two fronts, for the country's freedom and for their personal dignity.
So our final takeaway is this. Filipino women are the bedrock of our nation's history. The legacy of the anti-dictatorship fight and leaders like late Senator Miriam reminds us that the struggle for a free nation and the fight for women's rights are one and the same.
And we are able to see that same commitment applied today, as Filipinas remain at the forefront of current politics, demanding justice and integrity from the very system they helped build.
And before we go, we want to leave you with this thought. The act of remembering is an act of patriotism. By seeking out the full story of women, we are not just honoring the past, we are shaping a more honest and equal future.
Kaya huwag kayong matakot mag-research. Keep digging in the archives dahil siguradong may bago pa tayong kwento na ma-uncover. Stay woke, stay curious, and always keep pushing the narrative.
Remember, ang pagiging Pinay ay isang form of superpower. Go out there, demand control, and don't let anyone write us out of history. This has been Heroes of the Philippines. Maraming
Salamat!
Sa pagsama,
Sa amin!